A 1,000-year-old river has vanished, leaving a barren desert with no water in sight. At the center of this harsh wasteland lies a mysterious prison holding hundreds of inmates, not by force, yet no one can escape. Why are they here? Why are they made to dig endless holes under the scorching sun? In this blazing desert, a group of boys digs relentlessly until a venomous snake appears. One boy, broken by life and desperate to die, deliberately puts his foot near the snake, and it strikes, killing him instantly. Meanwhile, Stanley, a boy walking down the street, is knocked down by a pair of falling shoes. He was bringing them to his father, who was experimenting to remove odor from shoes, but the shoes belonged to a famous baseball player and were stolen during a charity match. Mistaken for a thief, Stanley is arrested. At home, his father's research equipment and basketball memorabilia deepen suspicion. In court, Stanley is convicted but given a choice: prison or an 18-month sentence at Green Lake, a reform camp where inmates can roam the area. Choosing Green Lake, Stanley is driven across the desert alone, anxious and uneasy. All around him stretch hundreds of dug holes, and he glimpses a man on horseback who suddenly vanishes, leaving Stanley to wonder if it was real or just his imagination. After hours of travel, Stanley arrives at a small camp, which is actually a prison filled with other inmates. He meets Mr. Sir, who carries out the warden's orders. Mr. Sir laughs at Stanley's name, finding it funny, while Stanley explains it was lovingly given by his ancestors. Mr. Sir shows no interest, dragging him around the camp and explaining the rules. He tells Stanley this prison is unlike any other. There are no clocks or calendars, so no one knows how many days have passed. Beyond the camp, nothing exists for thousands of miles, and no one knows anything about this place. Prisoners are free to roam, yet none dare leave, making walls unnecessary. Mr. Sir gives Stanley 2 sets of clothes, a pair of shoes, and a small portion of food, and tells him he must dig a 5-foot hole every day under the blazing sun, using his pickaxe to measure depth, while avoiding deadly snakes and venomous creatures. Terrified, Stanley meets the camp counselor, Dr. Pendanski, who seems kind and shows him the camp, explaining the rules. The first rule, he warns, is never to question the warden. Dr. Pendanski introduces Stanley to the other boys, shows him his filthy bed, the previous occupant recently dead, and reveals that nearly all inmates are under 18. The youngest, Zero, is quiet and has not spoken to anyone since arriving. Stanley calls one of the boys by his real name and asks where the mess hall is, but the boy angrily shoves him, insisting he use only the nickname given at the camp. Stanley is teased and mocked along with the others before heading to the mess hall, where he's served thin, spoiled gruel that's almost impossible to eat. While he struggles, a boy named X takes some of his portion, claiming he deserves more because he worked all day, and Stanley hasn't done anything yet. There's nothing he can say in protest. X and the other boys then ask why Stanley is in the camp and what crime he committed. Stanley admits he allegedly stole a famous baseball player's shoes. At that moment, Zero, the quiet youngest boy, speaks to Stanley for the first time, asking if the shoes had a star logo. Stanley recalls his court hearing, where the player explained he had donated the shoes to an orphanage, but Stanley was accused of being a fake fan, a thought that hurts him deeply. That night, memories of his grandfather surface, revealing a family tradition of naming and a supposed curse that brings misfortune, even affecting his father's work. The next morning, Stanley and the boys are woken before sunrise, given barely enough bread to fill half their stomachs, and allowed to choose their pickaxes, but X steals Stanley's light, easy one. Finally, all the boys are driven to a remote open desert, the place where they must dig their daily holes under the scorching sun. Mr. Sir explains Stanley's work, telling him that if he finds anything interesting while digging, he should quietly show it to him. If Mr. Sir likes it, Stanley gets the day off. Curious, Stanley asks if digging is meant for finding something, but Mr. Sir says it's not. The digging is a punishment meant to teach discipline and shape character. Mr. Sir leaves and all the boys begin their work, digging and moving dirt. While Stanley digs, a boy beside him dumps soil into his hole, laughing with his friends, mocking Stanley despite his protests. As he works, Stanley recalls a story his grandfather told him about an ancestor named Lyle, who worked for years on a peach farm and fell in love with the owner's beautiful daughter, Myra. Seeking advice, Lyle visited a fortune teller, Jerry Rooney, who told him to forget all romantic complications and go to America for success and love. But Lyle refused to leave Myra and pleaded with her father. Another wealthy suitor won Myra's father's favor, leaving Lyle heartbroken. he returned to Jeraruni, who gave him a strange task. Each day, take a small pig to the mountain, give it water, and sing out his heart. Over days of care and song, the pig grew strong, and Lyle's grief slowly lifted. Following Jeraruni's instructions brought him peace, teaching him patience, devotion, and the strange power of daily discipline. Lyle decides to gift his grown pig to Myra's father and propose to her. He returns to her house, pouring out his love and struggles, presenting the pig as a token. But Myra remains torn between him and the wealthy suitor, even playing guessing games to choose her future partner. Realizing he loved the wrong person, Lyle throws the floral garland and ends his pursuit of her. Following Jeraruni's advice, he prepares for America to build his career, but forgets the final task, taking Jeraruni to the mountain and watering her like the pig. Ignoring this angers her, and she curses Lyle's entire lineage, dooming his descendants to misfortune. Back in the present, Stanley and the boys labor under the scorching sun when Mr. Sir arrives with a water truck to give them a brief supply. Stanley notices blisters forming on his hands, and another boy mocks him, asking how he'll survive the remaining days. Zero finishes first, working incredibly fast while Stanley struggles. After completing his hole, he can't climb out alone and gradually learns the technique. That night, while sitting outside, Mr. Sir raises a rifle at him, frightening Stanley, but he's actually aiming at a small lizard, which later lunges at him until Mr. Sir kills it. Though life at the camp is strange and painful at first, Stanley slowly adapts, waking each morning, eating the meager gruel, and working tirelessly, even as his hands become badly injured from digging 5-foot holes day after day. Stanley struggles daily with venomous insects and scarce water, often unable to finish bathing before it runs out. The older, tougher boys bully him constantly, stealing his food, snatching his favorite pickaxe, and teasing him, yet he never fights back. They call him soft because of his gentle nature, though he's only avoiding conflict. He plans to serve his 18 months and return home. He writes a letter to his mother, describing the camp as peaceful, like a picnic, to keep her calm. The next day, while digging, Stanley uncovers an old coal piece and brings it to Dr. Pendanski, who explains that Mr. Sir isn't interested in coal, but might grant a short break for a more special find. Dr. Pendanski also reveals that the desert they now toil in was once a vast river and fertile land, owned by the warden's grandfather, full of villages, schools, roads, and thriving farms. Flashbacks show this lush land centuries ago, where Sam, an onion merchant, frequently visited with his prized produce, claiming it cured diseases. Sam was enamored with Catherine, a beautiful school teacher, and would bring her special treats in exchange for her attention. Their growing bond drew envy from others, highlighting the human drama and jealousy that once thrived in this now barren desert, long before Stanley and the camp existed. Sam spends his days talking with Catherine, helping her improve her school while also charming the local boys who try to flirt with her. Among them is Walker, the warden's grandfather, who becomes angry when Catherine refuses to meet him. Sam continues visiting the school, decorating it, and slowly he and Catherine grow closer. One day, when his usual donkey cart goes missing, Sam buys a boat to continue seeing her. Their affection deepens, and one night, they grow physically close, which Walker witnesses. Enraged, he spreads rumors, leading villagers to burn Catherine's home and school. She runs to the police station, only to face a drunk officer who blames her for loving a man of a different class, threatening her life. Terrified, she rushes to warn Sam, but it's too late. He has been shot and his body is taken away. Heartbroken, Catherine transforms from a gentle girl into a ruthless figure, avenging Sam by killing the officer and gradually becoming the infamous gangster Kissing Kate, known for murdering victims and kissing them. Back in the present, Stanley and the boys dig under the relentless sun. When Mike confronts Stanley with strange taunts, Stanley finally fights back. Slowly, he earns respect, defends himself, and builds friendships, especially with a boy named Zero, who soon becomes his best friend, marking Stanley's growing strength and place in the harsh camp. A few days later, Stanley receives a letter from his mother, revealing that his father's experiments have failed, and their family faces such severe financial trouble that the landlord could evict them at any moment. As Stanley reads, Zero approaches, curious and eager to learn, since he struggles with school. Stanley explains he's not a good teacher, and after long days of digging, has little time to instruct him. The next day, while digging, Stanley discovers a small iron object engraved with Kirby. Everyone guesses it's a gun cover, but it's too thin. Ree takes it and delivers it to Dr. Pendanski, who is thrilled and informs Mr. Sir and the warden. To everyone's surprise, the warden is a striking woman who rewards Ree with a day off and orders the others to dig the entire area, though only Stanley's find proves unique. Days of labor follow, with prisoners slowly uncovering a massive tunnel, yet they find only a single tile, returning to their usual routines. Later, while collecting water, a boy secretly steals sunflower seeds from Mr. Sir's truck. Stanley's seeds fall, and to protect his best friend Zero, he lies, claiming Zero stole them. Everyone is stunned at Stanley's courage. Brought before the warden, he notices pictures of the notorious Kissing Kate. She shows him rare nail polish made from exotic snake seeds, and instead of punishing Stanley, she slaps Mr. Sir for obstructing his work, sending him sprawling. Then Stanley resumes his grueling daily digging. When Stanley returns to his work site, everyone treats him like a hero for risking his life to save another, a deed that touches all hearts. Zero is so impressed that he finishes Stanley's work and eagerly asks him to teach him to read, which Stanley agrees to. Later, Mr. Sir arrives with a deep mark on his cheek from the warden, and furious stops giving Stanley food or water, forcing him to work all day in the blazing sun. While digging, Stanley reflects on the warden's behavior, the Kissing Kate posters, and the item he found, realizing it might be her rare, valuable lipstick. Flashbacks reveal that Kissing Kate became a ruthless gangster, killing those who destroyed Sam's home and school and looting treasures, even burying Stanley's ancestor, Stanley the First. When Walker and his wife tried to steal Kate's treasure, she killed them with a venomous centipede, ensuring their descendants would suffer. Now, the warden, Walker's descendant, runs the camp to recover that treasure through the prisoners digging. Each day, Stanley teaches Zero, whose real name is Hector Zeroni, the descendant of Madame Zeroni, cursed long ago. Because Zero digs so fast, he helps Stanley finish his work, sparking jealousy among the other boys who sabotage their holes. One day, a jealous boy taunts Stanley, but this time Stanley fights back. Dr. Pendanski encourages the clash, and a brutal fight erupts, both boys striking with full force. At one point, a boy beats Stanley mercilessly, and when Zero sees this, he rushes in to help, striking the boy so violently that he nearly kills him. Just as things turn deadly, Dr. Pendanski fires a warning shot into the air, forcing the fight to stop. The warden storms onto the scene, demanding to know what caused the chaos, and the boys quickly turn on Stanley, accusing him of digging only half his hole and letting Zero finish the rest. Stanley bravely explains that in return, he teaches Zero how to read. Dr. Pendanski bursts into cruel laughter and humiliates Zero, calling him stupid and worthless, and in a sudden surge of rage, Zero attacks him with a pickaxe before fleeing into the desert. Mr. Sir tries to chase him, but the warden coldly stops the pursuit, ordering Zero's existence erased as if he was never there. That night, Stanley lies awake in fear, remembering how his own ancestor once survived alone in this desert for 16 days by finding shelter. The next day, while digging, a mischievous boy distracts Stanley, and he seizes the moment to escape in Mr. Sir's truck, but it crashes into a pit. Refusing to give up, Stanley runs into the burning desert as the other boys cheer him on. Soon, he finds Sam's old boat beneath the dried river, where Zero has been hiding. Overjoyed, they share preserved peaches, fight off hunger, and finally climb a mountain marked with strange hand-shaped carvings, where they discover water, green trees, and fields of powerful onions, restoring their strength, hope, and will to survive. As this happens, Stanley unknowingly begins to sing the same song he had always heard from his family, the very song his ancestor Elia used to sing while carrying the pig to give it water. And in this moment, without realizing it, Stanley fulfills the promise to help Madame Zeroni's descendant by carrying Zero on his back and bringing him to water, finally lifting the curse from his family and giving peace to Zeroni's soul. At the same time, Stanley's father succeeds in his research, creating a powerful spray from onions and peaches that truly removes shoe odor, and the whole family celebrates in joy. Zero then confesses that the shoes Stanley was sent to camp for stealing were actually stolen by him because he desperately needed a pair, since a famous athlete had donated them to the orphanage where he lived, and in fear, he threw them off a bridge when the police began searching, only to be caught the next day stealing again. Stanley laughs it off, saying it was all fate. That same day, Stanley's lawyer arrives at the camp with proof of his innocence despite the warden's excuses. Stanley and Zero race back to the spot of the lipstick case and dig through the night, uncovering Kissing Kate's entire treasure. But the warden and Mr. Sir arrive as deadly yellow-spotted lizards surround the boys in the chest, protecting them. By morning, the lawyer and officers arrive. The warden's lies collapse, the truth is revealed, and the warden, Mr. Sir, and Dr. Pendanski are arrested. Stanley and Zero return home. The treasure is restored. Stanley decides to give Zero a share of the treasure. With that, Zero hires a detective and then finds his long-lost mother. Both families finally start living in peace near to each other. The prison-like camp is shut down forever. And so, after pain, curses, and endless digging, fate finally turns kind, giving Stanley and Zero the peace, family, and future they always deserved. What part of this incredible journey touched your heart the most? Share your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe for more thrilling stories.